You probably know I do past life regression, past life therapy. I've been doing it for 40 years, 30 years consistently, and 20 years as a UFO investigator, which I find it all blends together. It's all connected. There is no separateness between it. So to me, it all falls into the same pot, so to speak, because I'm working with people and their problems. And they come to me now from all over the world just to have sessions. And all walks of life. I mean, I get actors out of Hollywood, I get scientists, I get doctors, I get psychiatrists, business people, people you would never think would be interested in this. But they all want to know what the answer to their problems are. So that's what I'm doing most of the time is focusing on the therapy. Now you can go to a past life therapist, any hypnotist, and have a past life regression. It's not hard to do as long as the hypnotist knows how to do it. The problem is the majority of the hypnotists doing past life regression, that's all they do. Just go through past life. And they work in the light levels. The person afterwards leaves and they'll say, well, it was interesting. I was in ancient Greece. I was in ancient Rome. But what does that have to do with me now? The hypnotist doesn't follow through on it to tie it up. And that's what I do. I take the person to the past life that is the most appropriate and relevant relating to their problems in this lifetime. Because you've had hundreds and hundreds of lives, everybody has. When you do a session, you're going to get something. But I would rather you'd get something that you can use and relates to the person's problem now. So that's why I've developed my own technique. I work in the deepest possible level of trance, the somnambulistic level. A lot of my hypnotists say they won't work there. They're afraid to work there. They said strange things happen there. Well, if anybody's read my books, you know strange things happen there. And they're afraid to handle it, so they'd rather just stay away from it. But to me, working in the somnambulistic level, you shut out the conscious mind altogether. The conscious mind interference is always there in the lighter levels. If a lot of you have had sessions, you'll come out of it, you'll say, I remember everything that went on. I think I made it up. It was silly. I saw it in a movie or I read it in a book. There's a lot of doubt, and the conscious mind is sitting there jabber, jabber, jabber. Well, suppose you could shut that out, and the person doesn't remember anything when they wake up. They are out of the picture. The conscious mind is completely gone, and we go directly to the part that has the answers. That's where I work. I want to work in the somnambulistic level with no conscious mind interference at all. And in the technique I've developed, the experts say 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 30 people will go into the somnambulistic level spontaneously. In the one I've developed, it's the opposite is true. 1 out of 20 or 1 out of 30 will not go. Everyone goes into the deep level. We shut out the conscious mind and allow these remarkable things to happen. Now, I work with what I call the subconscious mind. People say, what do you mean by that? I don't mean the subconscious as it is defined by the psychiatrists. I work with psychiatrists. I've been having them in my classes now. That definition to me is the childish part of the mind that they work with on habits. What I call the subconscious, you may say, is the higher self, the oversoul, the higher consciousness. It has the answer to everything. Why not go to that part to get your answers instead of the conscious part is the last one to know anything. Why not go to that part that has the answers to everything? That's the part that I deal with. I call it the subconscious. They say, we don't care what you call us. We'll answer to anything. So that's what I mean by they. I've gotten so used to speaking to that part now. It's like talking to an old friend. I know when a lot of hypnotists say, well, the only way you can speak with the subconscious is with hand motions. Well, I've discredited that. No, this is a one-on-one conversation with that part of the mind. Hand motions, you're going to get a yes or no answer. What if you get where it's going to tell you more than you want to know? And if you know from my books, it tells you everything it thinks you're capable of handling. And the information pours out of everyone that comes to see me. This is the part that I'm working with. I do a lot of work with people with physical problems, health issues. I have had many, many people come to see me who are getting ready to have operations. If we can get to them before they go in for surgery, they won't need surgery. Now, this sounds drastic, but when I was doing my lectures in England, they say you cannot say you're able to cure. They said, we'll say you're able to relieve, but we're able to take it away in one session. This is very powerful things that we're working here. When you're tapping into this gigantic pool of information and knowledge. And I've had instantaneous cures in my office because I only have time for one session with the person. You've got to get in there and get it done. And they come long distances to have this done. So the main thing I'm working with is the health issues. Now, what I've found, you make yourself sick. You may not believe it, but you're the one that gives yourself the illness, the disease. If you're that powerful that you can make yourself ill, you're also powerful enough that you can take it away. You got to find out why. Why did I do this to myself? Why did I make myself sick? Why did I give myself this to myself? And that's what I work on. We go to either a past life that has the answer, whatever it is at the person's problem. They come to me with all kinds of problems. We go back to the past life to find the answer. But a lot of people that come in talking about different ailments in different parts of their body, I can usually tell them what's going on in their life now, because it always affects the same parts of the body. Now, what I've found is the subconscious, any ache, pain, or symptom of the body is the subconscious trying to give you a message. It's trying to tell you something. If you don't listen, it gets a little worse. It's still trying to get your attention. A little worse, a little worse. It thinks it's being quite logical and makes sense, but we still don't understand what is it trying to tell you. So it gets a little worse until finally it'll get to the point where you have a full-blown disease or illness that you end up in the hospital or having to have operations. And they are always saying no surgery, no invasion of the body. They don't want that. And they tell me once something's been taken out, they can't put it back. So we have to get it fixed before they have the operation, to find out why have they gone that far? What is it that they're trying to tell themselves? I mean, I've had people come into my office in wheelchairs on crutches because they didn't get the message and it went too far. If you don't get the message, believe me, they'll hit you up the side of the head. And that's what's happened to a lot of these people. One was a multimillionaire who lost everything because he was headed in the wrong direction. They had to do something to turn him around. He was not listening. And I don't think this is cruel. I think we make an agreement before we come in. We want to go a certain way, and if we stray off of that way, they're going to get us back on one way or the other. So a lot of what we think is not good is always happening for a reason. So that's what I work with, is people's illnesses, their physical problems, their family problems. Everybody that comes in wants to know, what's my purpose? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? We can find out if it is appropriate. Because they say, suppose we told you what you were supposed to be doing too soon. Maybe what you're supposed to be doing is 180 degrees from what you're doing now. And you'd say, oh no, I'd never do that. That's not what I'd want to do. And you'd put blocks in your way to keep it from happening. They know how you're going to react, and they know when it's time for you to know what you're supposed to do. So they will tell us if it is appropriate. They will tell you everything. But I had one man that they said, no, we can't tell him. It's not time. But they said, oh, we wish we could. You don't know what we see. But they said, consider he is where you were 20 years ago. You don't give a baby a 3-course meal. You start out with cereal, milk, cereal, strained vegetables. You can't give a baby a 3-course meal. You have to do it little by little, and that's what they've been doing with me for 30 years. A spoonful at a time of information. If what I'm getting now would have been dumped on me 20 years ago, I couldn't have handled it. I wouldn't have understood it. They let me understand and digest one little spoonful at a time, and then it gets more and more complicated. So unless the person is ready, they're not going to get what they're looking for because it wouldn't make any sense to them.